Basically, I'm creating a Python RGov API. I'm calling it called pyRGov, and when you let's see. It's like this is kind of what it looks like from the test side. You basically can do create an RGov API instance with your server name, localhost, robot, or whatever, and then use the APIs to do things. It's modeled after the RChain, the R client that the pyRChain stuff did, but I needed to put a wrapper around it in order to take care of the different hosts and different port numbers and things. And I'm going to try and use this information to do a propose the right way. But then basically, so you do an RChain API and it initializes it, looks at the network and creates an R client, which is how we talk to the network. And then we have the functions we have built in: check, balance, transfer, propose, which doesn't work yet. But this is kind of the way I'm going with it. And the key here is I'm basically making an API here that is useful to be able to do things like, for instance, implement our test script, or do other actions you need to do, as well as then go and write some of the PyTest regression test scripts that we can have run automatically. And that's kind of all I've been doing. I'm finally getting to the point where I can, like if I do a transfer, it works, but I have to do a manual propose. So once I get this implemented correctly, I'll be able to do it automatically, based on what network we're on. Because basically, I followed your model where you had, admin base. If admin base is null, then we don't do a propose. So I'm gonna follow that. That's about it. Like I said, I only got 2 functions implemented and a whole bunch to do. But once I get past this proposed thing, it should move pretty well, I think. So anyway.
Good. I think you just had the wrong port for the propose. That should be basically fixed.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's exactly what this table is for. And one thing that was interesting is the our client uses a host name and a port. It doesn't indicate SSL or not, and I guess that's because it's not using a post connection. So I had to split this up to, add the prefix for propose. But other than that, I think it's going to go out along okay. So I'm making good progress finally.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see. I guess Bill is working on getting the insert signed work. So we'll have a row RChain RGov URI.
Oh, the RGov, yeah.
So, we won't need. So we won't need to have different URIs for that on different systems, and of course we can make other ones also if we need to.
I was talking to Bill about that a little bit, and is I don't know if the row RChain URI format is defined as far as like there's a document that just defines how it should be used and can be used. But
Well, yeah, I mean, we got that worked out we think. He has to prove that it works, but, you know, Dan gave us the routine, and they explained that we put the name we want in where the variable that says unforgeable, you know, we put in obviously forgeable
oh,
name in that spot, and we can define it. Now, one question Bill had is, should we use RGov : master or something? You know, should we define a whole bunch of names
right.
on RGov or just the one? And I think it's better for us to just define the one now, and then we can just make that contract, the RGov contract, do
Master
whatever
directory.
functionality we want.
Right.
Okay, we still have to look it up. I mean, Bill was thinking that we could have it represent a value, which we can't. We have to look it up.
Right, because the unforgeable exists somewhere. You don't know what it is, so you have to look it up to find it.
Right.
Okay. One thing that this process you're talking about might lead to, I think, is like one thing that I've heard talk about, and is basically from on-chain referencing off-chain entities or entities on other shards, because it's. So I was wondering if there might be a format of this URI that might even have like the domain name of the node that runs the shard.
Yes, I think we have to standardize remote names. I mean, basically, they can be, we can define a proxy object, right? We can make a channel that does whatever complicated code we want to access the remote chain, given,
right,
the host and the port or whatever. But it comes back to trust and how we authenticate, and that's what Dan and I have been talking about this morning. And the answer, I knew he would know eventually that what we wanted to do, but CapTP is the key to creating a trustworthy link in a light client. And I don't know what that is yet. I haven't read this.
Okay. Well, one thing that I like to talk about having a light client, because in the long run, one thing that I think is going to be needed is ultimately we're interested in social networking, eyes 3, 4, 5, whatever you want to call it, and to me, any content I post, I should have. It should be my responsibility to maintain. And basically, I'm thinking if I could have all of my posted data on my own shard, and then just give whatever social network there is a reference to that so they can access it. So that if it ever gets censored off of that site, all they can censor is the link, not the data.
Yeah.
So that would need me running a light node on my shard and providing data to the other nodes asking for it. And that data may be cacheable, so it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, what I suggest is, that we have a remote deploy, so that you could, from RChain, you could do a deploy to your own shard. And maybe you want to do some complex computation, you don't want to pay for it. So do the deploy to your own shard and return the answer rather than
okay.
rather than do there. But an issue comes in is, well, what happens when the validators try to validate what your shard did was correct? Well, if it does the same deploy with the same signature, it should return the same value, is what I'm suggesting.
This is how it works in the Agoric. They've already got that all set.
Yeah,
Everybody gets a personal. Everybody gets a personal execution environment, and then that has a key. And then, so if you want to send to the public blockchain, your personal thing signs with your key.
right.
But you can have object references back and forth and send messages back and forth and all that.
Because see, the validator doesn't have to validate the data on my shard, it just has to validate the reference.
I'm not sure what you mean by references.
Well,
Messages are the fundamental thing.
okay.
Sorry, yeah. Yeah, shard is called a VAT in the Agoric architecture.
Right.
You can send messages between two VATs, and the two VATs don't trust each other.
Normally, no.
Right before-
What we're trying to do is figure out how to get them to trust one another, or at least
Trust their results.
You know,
Can hear you.
yeah. Okay, so when I access that one with my private key, and well, I don't know, I guess it's, but
Let me say something real quick here. Dan, right before you logged in, I was presenting a use case that I want to see, I think, supported. And basically the concept of, in social networking, when I post something, I want to retain ownership of my data and pretty much only give the Twitter-like entity a reference to it, so that if they decide to censor me, all they can do is delete the reference.
Well, okay. So ownership of data is kind of not feasible as far as I can tell. You can own capabilities, but owning once you put data on the network,
Oh wait, no, wait. Let me explain. By ownership, I would be running my own shard, and that's where the data would be stored. And then a reference, they could retrieve it from that to display it or something. But if they, on their systems, on their shard, decided this data is, this transaction needs to be obliterated, they could remove it, and all they'd be removing is a reference to data on my shard.
well, it comes back to the same problem of, once you give access to something, you can't prevent them from copying it.
Yeah, I don't think he's worried about that. He's worried about them copying it too few times, not too many times. In any case, what you're saying, when you give them a reference, you give them a reference to an object, right? Just like a web server.
Yeah.
And somebody does a GET request and you respond to it. Yeah, that's fine. That's what the Agoric.
But right now, yeah, okay. Well, what I'm saying right now is, if I post something on Facebook, Twitter, or whatever else, they have been routinely utilizing deleting things.
Yeah, so run your own fucking website. God, this is so lame.
Well,
Sorry,
no,
my French.
but the thing is that the point is that I think this is probably the way, the area that has the most popular demand for people use social networking. It is a way of, it's a way of growing traffic.
One of our requirements that we specified, which we're not supporting at present, is the revocable capability. Okay, which we have a file on of where we can give them a capability. Where to go?
I'm about to become unavailable for a minute.
And but we can have a replace method that allows us to replace it. We could replace it with no, to revoke access to that capability. But, you know, in the capability model, you would give them the capability to access your content, and you could take it away.
Well,
You would have a
I'm
replace.
fine. I'm fine with that, but that's the opposite of what the thing I'm concerned with is I want to make sure that if they revoke everyone else from seeing my content, that my content is still, I still have my copy of my content, and that you know, I can then repost it anywhere else I want. Or if I post the same thing in 20 different places,
Yeah.
that anytime to revoke it in one place, it's not deleted. And the other thing is, if someone reposts something, you know, that reference to a reference, I would like that to follow through, you know, that kind of thing. So those are details, but it's just something that, you know, I think is, you know, combating censorship, basically. All right, well, I am, it's getting hotter and hotter, so I need to get outside and start cutting the grass and stuff like that, so.
Oh, what an idea.
Yeah, so.
I'd let the leaves fall, and, you know, we have almost no grass now. It's all dead. Yeah.
So try the. All right. See you guys later.
See ya. Well, I think have some reading to do.
Okay, I'll check you later.
Okay. See you guys.
Bye.